December 12, 1799, Mount Vernon, Virginia. George Washington has spent most of the day outside in the snow and freezing rain supervising farming activities. When he comes in for dinner, it's suggested that he change out of his wet clothes in order to avoid getting sick, but because he's George Washington and he survived crossing the Delaware and drunk Hessians, he's not really concerned about wet clothes. But when he wakes up the next morning with a raging sore throat, he sets in motion a course of 6 events that may or may not have killed him. Step 1. Against all advice, he goes back outside and spends the rest of the day in the elements. Later that night, his sore throat gets worse to the point where he struggles to breathe. Step 2. Washington requests that his overseer, George Rawlins, bleed him in an effort to treat the illness. Rawlins removes 1 pint of blood. Step 3. Dr. James Craik, the family physician, is called and arrives on the scene. Washington drinks a concoction of molasses, butter, and vinegar in order to soothe his throat, but it causes him to convulse and nearly suffocate. Step 4. A second doctor is called. In the meantime, Dr. Craik produces a blister in Washington's throat in order to, quote, balance his fluids. He also bleeds him a second time. Step 5. A third doctor is called. Dr. Craik gives Washington an enema in another effort to balance his fluids. He also bleeds him for a third and fourth time. Step 6. Still desperate to balance his fluids, Craik administers an emetic to make Washington vomit. Sadly, it does nothing, except to make him vomit. At this point, Washington essentially waves the white flag and says, "Guys, please, no more. Just let me die in peace." And surprisingly, the doctors adhere to this request, until Craik gets bored or something and administers blisters on Washington's legs and feet. Because, sure. Again, this does nothing, and between 10 and 11 p.m. on December 14th, Washington passes away. Almost immediately, the debate begins. Did the bloodletting, blisters, enema, and emetic actually help to kill him? When you factor in how much blood he lost, about a liter, the dehydration caused by the enema and emetic, and his immune system having to deal with the blisters, it doesn't bode well for a guy suffering from a sore throat. It's not certain if he would have lived with no care at all, but his body would have likely handled it better with all of its fluids. So what do you think? Did doctors inadvertently kill George Washington? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to check out Raider Red's Snapchat Discover channel for more strange Heartland history. I'm Christopher Pilney.